pays tribute to the contributions and achievements of American workers and is traditionally observed on the first Monday in September. It was created by the labor movement in the late 19th century and became a federal holiday in 1894. Labor Day weekend also symbolizes the end of summer for many Americans and is celebrated with parties, street parades, and athletic events. Labor Day, an annual celebration of workers and their achievements, originated during one of American labor history's most dismal chapters. In the late 1800s, at the height of the Industrial Revolution in the United States, the average American worked 12-hour days and 7-day weeks in order to make a basic living. Despite restrictions in some states, children as young as 5 or 6 toiled in mills, factories, and mines across the country, earning a fraction of their adult counterparts' wages. People of all ages, particularly the very poor and recent immigrants, often faced extremely unsafe working conditions with insufficient access to fresh air, sanitary facilities, and breaks. As manufacturing increasingly supplanted agriculture as the wellspring of American employment, labor unions, which had first appeared in the late 18th century, grew more prominent and vocal. They began organizing strikes and rallies to protest poor conditions and compel employers to renegotiate hours and pay. Many of these events turned violent during this period, including the infamous Haymarket Riot of 1886, in which several Chicago policemen and workers were killed. Others gave rise to long-standing traditions. On September 5th, 1882, 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square in New York City, holding the first Labor Day parade in U.S. history. The idea of a working men's holiday celebrated on the first Monday in September caught on in other industrial centers across the country, and many states passed legislation recognizing it. Congress would not legalize the holiday until 12 years later, when a watershed moment in American labor history brought workers' rights squarely into the public's view. On May 11th, 1894, employees of the Pullman Palace Car Company in Chicago went on strike to protest wage cuts and the firing of union representatives. has yet to be identified. Many credit Peter J. McGuire, co-founder of the American Federation of Labor, while others have suggested that Matthew McGuire, a secretary of the Central Labor Union, first proposed the holiday. Labor Day is still celebrated in cities and towns across the United States with parades, picnics, barbecues, fireworks, and other public gatherings. For many Americans, particularly children and young adults, it represents the end of the summer and the start of the back-to-school season. The Uniform Monday Holiday Act of 1968 changed several holidays to ensure they would always be observed on Mondays so that federal employees could have more 3-day weekends. The act, signed into law on June 28, 1968, moved Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, and Columbus Day to fixed Mondays each year. Labor Day is in good company. Other holidays that always fall on Mondays include Martin Luther King Jr. Day, George Washington's birthday or President's Day, Memorial Day, and Columbus Day. So that was just some background around the history of Labor Day. So now I'll go into some other miscellaneous facts pertaining to the holiday. So Labor Day is often confused with May Day. Most other countries celebrate International Workers' Day or May Day instead of Labor Day. The concept is the same, but it is celebrated on May 1st around the globe. The theory about why we can't wear white after Labor Day is highly debated. There are 3 hypotheses about the origins of the no white after Labor Day directive. The first theory, disagreed upon by many, is based on class distinction in the early 1900s. Although white clothing was clearly an upper-class luxury, after the Civil War, it became hard to distinguish women coming from old money or new money. The higher-class ladies then made inane fashion rules to weed out those who were, quote, out of place. The second theory speaks to a more practical approach by pointing out that Memorial Day and Labor Day bracketed the summer season, and therefore lighter, summery, white clothes were no longer needed. The last theory has to do with popular fashion magazines who may have begun promoting fall clothing after Labor Day, and the trend was picked up. Whatever the reason may be, it's safe to say the fashion rule is kaput. typically causes some of the longest working hours for retail workers. Labor Day weekend is notorious for having crazy sales, but unfortunately, this means retail workers, a faction that makes up 6% of the country's employment system, have to work longer hours on a day specially dedicated to labor appreciation. In fact, many other professionals are expected to work on Labor Day as well, including correctional officers, police officials, firefighters, nurses, and more. Labor Day is the official end of hot dog season. We're serious. It's recorded as such on the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council website. Labor Day is the second most dangerous holiday weekend to drive on U.S. highways. According to CBS News, there were 308 casualties over Labor Day weekend between 2011 to 2015, following closely behind Memorial Day's 312 casualties. These particular holidays designate the beginning and ending of summer, where excitement is heightened and young people tend to be more reckless on the road. The holiday also symbolizes other endings and beginnings. Yes, Labor Day is the unofficial end of summer and the end of hot dog season, but it is also the beginning of NFL season. Almost every NFL kickoff game has started the weekend after Labor Day. Labor Day is the end of white pants, but the beginning of black pants, and it's also, unfortunately, the end of 3-day weekends until November. 75% of Americans left vacation days unused in 2021. 61% of remote workers find it more difficult to unplug during off hours now than before the pandemic. 818 hot dogs are eaten every second from Memorial Day to Labor Day. More than 647,000 workers' lives have been saved since the Occupational Safety and Health Act was enacted in 1970. $176 billion is the annual cost of worker injury and illness in the U.S. 68% of Americans say Labor Day is their favorite holiday. 53% of Americans plan to get out of town for Labor Day weekend. 36% plan to travel by car, and 14% will fly to their destination. And the last fact, it's the third most popular day of the year to have a cookout. It falls behind Memorial Day and the 4th of July. So all people who aren't spending the day shopping or working are probably firing up the grill. Okay, so that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful night. And if you're in the